Hey there, everybody. It's your girl Barbie J here with the recap and review of Tyler Perry's comedy drama, The Oval, Season 5, Episode 20. Keep your enemies close. And that is very good advice. Now, the synopsis for this episode reads Jason breaks his silence pertaining to his parents. Priscilla proves her loyalty to Hunter after catching Kyle in a questionable scenario. And I like that. So now before we get started with this recap review, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please take a moment right now, hit that subscribe button, then hit the notification bell and select all. It will let you know every time I upload any new content to this channel. Then I ask that you smash that like button, write a comment and join the conversation and share because sharing is caring. So it starts off with Priscilla catching Kyle in the President Hunter Franklin's bathroom. And he won't tell her what he's looking for, but he did grab something. She's like, what's in your hand? What's in your hand? He don't want to tell her. He's talking about he'll take her down. And she's like, I'm not afraid of you. I want to know what you're doing in here. You're going to tell me. And she wouldn't get out of his way. And he was like, I got to go. He's on his way. She said, good. And I'll be right here waiting. And, that's when he grabbed her neck and threw her up on the counter. And she pushed through because she said, you think I don't know how to defend myself? Man, please. Priscilla ain't the one, y'all. I told y'all. So anyway, Kyle ran out of there. Priscilla left out, grabbed the tray or whatever. She gets out in the hallway and she runs into Hunter and Agent Isaac. And he's like, oh, I need to talk to you. She said, I need to talk to you too. So he tells her that he spoke to Victoria. He got her just where he wants her. And she said, that's good. That's great. And he said, or he asked her, is she in on it? Is she going to help him? And she said she's decided to be in with him. So he's like, cool. Then she asked him, does he have permission? Kyle had permission to be in there. He's like, no. And she said, well, I caught him in your room. He said, what was he doing? Going through all your vanity drawers. Really? He wouldn't tell me what to do. I'm sorry, sir. He was like, don't worry about it. It's not your fault. Agent Isaac, drag Kyle's ass up here. It was just like that. Isaac left. Hunter tried to hit on Priscilla, get her to stay and all that stuff. And she's like, no, company would be nice, but not tonight, sir. And then she told him she's starting to rethink him and she left. So next we have Lena asking Jason's questions. And she said, let's start from the beginning. How did you end up here? And he said, my mother's trying to kill me. Is your father part of it? Yes, he is. Do you think your mother orchestrated all of it? Yes, I do. I think it's her, So she asked those questions. She also wanted to get like Sam on camera, but Sam said he can't be a part of it. She was like saying how she has to ask her boss first and show him the footage. And he's like, no, Jason doesn't want him. He said, if you show it to your boss, they're going to take it down and my parents are not going to use it. And Jason doesn't feel confident about Lena. And I don't blame him because neither do I. And Sam is feeling confident and trusting her. But I think something's up with that woman. She can't do it, And Jason's like, no, let's just keep the footage. And she's like, you know what, Jason, I'm sorry or something like that. He said, yeah, whatever, and I'm with him. I'm with him all the way. So Sam put the blindfold back on Lena to take her out of there. He said, stay here. He told Jason to stay here. You got everything you need. He said, what I need to do is get out of this dungeon. I don't like being down here. He said, but I got to keep you safe. So please trust me. Now, back at the White House, we finally have an Alonzo sighting. Yes. And Max runs into him and he doesn't want to talk to Max about anything because he doesn't know who to trust. He only tells Max that they are mad at him. And I don't even think he said who they are. And so Max says, you can trust me, Sam and Bobby. We'll help you. We're trying to help you. And he calls Alonzo a little biatch, because he's acting like a baby. And Alonzo gets real mad. I don't want to talk to you. I said, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm not discussing what they're mad at me about. And he walks away and leaves him. So then we go over to Kyle. He's in the infirmary to speak with Victoria. And he tells her he has the pills. And she's like, good. And he says, but Priscilla saw me and now I'm getting called to go see Hunter. And he's like, what should I say? And she's like, damn, you don't know how to lie and tell a lie? He's like, I don't know. He's like, tell Hunter I sent you to get my values or something like that. And he asked would Hunter believe that? And she's like, he's dumb. He'll believe anything. So Kyle leaves the infirmary and runs into Isaac. And Isaac is asking him where he's coming from. And he's talking about he went to see the first lady. He said, Isaac said, she's not the first lady. And he said, and you don't have your radio? You know I don't have my radio. I had to give it up to go in there. He said, okay, so you know the president's looking for you, right? And Kyle is like, Eli? He said, no, he's not the president. Hunter. I was dying. I was like, how is Hunter the president if Victoria's not the first lady? I was like, I was laughing. And so he tells Kyle to lead the way and go see Hunter. Then they switch over to Dale and Alan. I can't even get into this one because Alan was being a real a-hole, drinking and stuff, and, even Dale mentioned it like, so this what you do? You come home every night and you drink? Because Alan was saying how he can't stand everybody at that White House and he wants to kill them, but he goes in there and puts on a good face because he's trying to stay alive. And Dale is like, that's what I'm trying to do too. I'm trying to stay alive, because Alan tried to throw it up in his face that he was selling his body. He said, I didn't have a choice. Everybody has a choice. No, he didn't have a choice. You're not trying to listen to him. That man was going to kill him if he didn't do what Dale said. So that's why Dale is doing that. And Dale is like, I don't want to go over to Kyle's. I don't want to be there. And Alan's like, I'm not going to be stressed in my house every night. Go do whatever, leave. And you know what? Dale got up and said, you know what? I'm out. Sorry to bother you or whatever. And he left. And I said, this is going to be funny because now that Dale is gone, who's going to end up coming there? Donald. And he's going to think that Alan is messing around with Kyle. Watch. So now Isaac and Kyle get to Hunter's bedroom. Hunter said, I'm going to ask you one time, and you better not lie. Whose side are you on? I'm on your side, sir. I'm like, he just told Victoria he was on with her. So I don't trust Kyle as far as I can see. And then he said, what was you doing in my wife's vanity? He said, looking for her Valium. Hunter goes, she's in the infirmary. You don't think they have Valium in there? He said, I don't know. That's what she asked for. That's what I went and got. He said, I don't believe you. He said, and you're lying to me. So Hunter knows he's lying. He's like, I'm not lying, sir. He said, do you realize you never had a problem with me until you brought on Agent Isaac? I said, oh, no, you're not going to go there. And he looked at him and said, you're lying, and I'm going to get to the bottom of this. You watch. And he was like, okay, sir. So he leaves, and Agent Isaac tells Hunter, I did see him coming out of the infirmary. He said, yeah. He said, but I don't want anybody going in there to see her. And he said, and if her father calls, we'll know who the mole is, because he was in there as well as Donald. Well, they said chief of staff, and Hunter said former chief of staff. And he said, got it. So he don't want nobody in there. And he said they're gonna figure this out some kind of way. But Hunter is still sticking with he don't trust Kyle. He knows he's lying. So now back at the Oval, Eli's asking Max, did his wife leave? He said, yes, she left. Have you heard from Victoria? Did you find out? Well, he called her first lady. Did you find out anything? Her staff is saying that she's taking care of her husband. And he's like, really? Because I've been calling her all day and she hasn't been returning my call. Can you find out if that's the fact, if it's true? And he said, sure, sir, I can. And he left. But then he went outside the door. I don't know why they do it right outside the door. And he calls Bobby to find out where Bobby is. And he said, Simone is there. And he asked, is he staying the night? And he said, no, she's up in her room. He said, good, I need you to come back here because Eli's asking about the first lady and her people are real tight-lipped. He wants me to go to the residence. So he said, hurry up. And he said, okay, I'm on my way. Then Simone comes downstairs and goes, oh, you leaving, Bobby? Can't you stay for a while? I just want somebody to talk to. And I'm like, Bobby should have said, oh, they're calling me at the White House. I need to go. So he's a weak man. I'm sorry. Bobby's a little weak man. He know he wants some more of that punani. I'm sorry. So he sits down and talks to Simone. She lets him know that Eli lied in his face about the video. Well, she didn't tell him about the video, but he lied and said that he didn't have sex with Victoria or anything. He's like, sorry, ma'am. And she was like real upset. And she's like, how do they do that? They just lie. And Bobby said, I know women who are good at lying like that too. And she's like, are you referring to me? He said, no, ma'am, I'm not referring to you. But I was laughing about that one. So they did a little bit more talking, and that was leeway for her to talk about having sex with him. Maybe he could stay and they could go upstairs. And he's like, no, not tonight. She said, are you rejecting me? He said, yes, ma'am. She's like, I don't like being rejected. He said, well, basically you get rejected tonight. And she was like, well, you sure I can't change your mind? And he's like, not tonight, ma'am. And then he let her know he's needed at the White House. And she was like, I still don't like being rejected. He says it's not a rejection, it's a wait. But she was thinking he didn't understand what she was going through when Bobby kind of does know. And she said, you understand it. What is it? And he broke it down what it was. And then she said, oh, you do get it. But then when she wanted sex, and he said, what happened to the woman who was like, I'm not interested in your ass, because I love my husband. She said, well, he changed the game, or he changed the rules or something like that. And Bobby said, or maybe you just lied and you wanted me anyway. I said, oh, snappos. That was so funny. But anyway, he ended up leaving and going to the White House to meet up with Max. While Simone is sitting there keeping hope alive because she want more of that. She said it was all that she wanted and more, or all that she needed and more, whatever. So now we have Kyle going back to the infirmary to see Victoria. She's asking him, did it work? He said, yeah, he believed me just like you said it. She's like, he's so dumb. But you want to know why he believed you? And he said, why? She said, because he'll believe anything a girl tells him. And he's like, are you done now, ma'am? Are you done? And she's like, whatever, give me your phone. And he's like, I don't have a phone. And she's like, why not? He said, they take it from me in order for me to come in here. So then she asked, where's Donald? She needs to talk to him. And he said, Donald's busy. And she's like, well, I need to call my father. She's like, do you have keys? Where's your keys? She's like, you have keys? She told my keys to unlock the handcuffs or something like that, I think it was. And he said, no. And he said, actually, I'm surprised that they let me in here. She said, so am I. And then she said, oh, ish. And he's like, what? And Victoria's like, they probably let you in here because they're listening. He said, they're not listening. She said, yes, they are. He said, you really think so? But Kyle said, I don't think so due to the seriousness of this room. He said, I don't think they would allow that. So he was like, if that's enough, ma'am, I'm out of here. So he left. And now they switched over to Priscilla showing up to Richard and Nancy's house. And she's saying how sorry she is to Richard, asking him if he's okay. Of course, he said that, that's a dumb question. Of course, he's not okay. But, he was telling her she could go upstairs and see Nancy. And she was like, but are you, what about you? He's like, look, I got my beer here. He was drinking his beer on the couch crying. And she's like, well, have you gone upstairs and checked on her? And he's like, no, but you please go up there. She's going to need somebody. She needs you. I got nothing to give. And she gets up there and Nancy is just like crying and falling apart. And she's talking about why did they kill her son, first Picky and now Barry. I have nothing left. And at this moment, Priscilla is sitting at the edge of her bed or the foot of her bed, with tears running down her face, while Nancy's having issues realizing that she has to bury both of her sons. But I'm shocked now that Priscilla is crying because earlier in the day she was up there using Bobby, to say, oh, I'm grieving and all of this stuff. And she was playing around with that mess. But now she see these two people who she care about are falling the freak apart. You know what I mean? So Priscilla was telling Nancy, don't do that. And Nancy's like, why not? But what she's talking about is because Nancy was almost blaming herself, saying she knows that Barry was calling for her, calling her name. I know, I could feel it. He was calling for me when they did whatever they did to him. And she told Priscilla she don't know how it feels because she don't have children. And Priscilla's like, you're right. I'm sorry. She kept saying, I'm sorry. And so Nancy said, my life is over. Both of my sons are gone and Richard hates me. And she's like, no, don't say that. Other people care about you. And she said, well, not the people who I love and care about. So Priscilla was like, well, let's pray. And Nancy's like, I don't want to pray because God isn't listening. And she's like, I did something so wrong that God is punishing me now. And then she said she has to call Sharon. And I said, oh, wow. And I said, we hadn't heard Sharon mention it. What episode is this? Episode 20? We like 10 episodes in or something. I don't know, maybe 6 episodes. And we haven't heard anything about Sharon. But she mentioned it. She said, oh, she's going to be so upset and stuff. And Priscilla's like, no, I'll do it. Don't you worry about it. But then she said, let me get you some tea or something. She said, girl, what tea going to do for me? I said, you should have been getting her some alcohol like Richard. She said, well, I'm going to get you some anyway. And she left. So now we have Sam dropping off Lena. He takes off the blindfold. They're in the car talking. He's telling her she can't let her bosses know. And she said, I'm not. And he said to be careful. And she said, I will. She said, but what if they're as terrible as he says? And Sam said, they are. And she's like, oh my God, then we all in trouble. You know, we all have to be careful. And he said, yep. So she gets out the car and she makes a phone call and lets somebody know that she needs to talk to them. You're not going to believe this. So I guess the person said, okay. So then it switches over to Donald and Kyle. And he's letting Donald know that he got the pills, and he tells them everything that went down between Victoria and Hunter. And he said, okay, cool. He said, well, I'm going home now. You want anything? He said, no, that's it. So they hang up, and Hunter says, you think I don't know what you're up to, Kyle? I keep having to show you who I am. I said, oh, Lord, either Alan's going to get hurt or Dale's getting hurt again. You know, that's why I don't like Kyle. And then it ended with a knock at Hunter's bedroom door, and it was Agent Isaac saying, you have a visitor. He said, I have a Lena here to see you. I said, oh my God. And Lena walks in there, and he says, sit down. And she's smiling, and she sits down. I said, oh my God, this is terrible. And now you see, Jason was right. He didn't have a good feel about her. Jason is very smart. He didn't think she could do it. And he told Sam, let's keep the recording. And Sam was like telling Lena, I know you're nervous, but I know you could do it. That's why I chose you. Lena ain't had your back, Sam, because now next week you see Hunter saying, drag Sam's little ass in here. I said, uh-oh, that's it. So y'all let me know down in the comment section what y'all thought about this episode. I thought it was pretty good. And please do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I will see you all in the next video. It's your girl Barbie J saying peace.